Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel, and this is my co-host Tanner Dykstra, who, frankly, I know what he did this summer, but you guys don't get to know, to be honest. We're not going to go down that
Okay.
rabbit hole at this moment in time. And we're here to talk about I Know What You Did last summer. And that means you, audience. We were watching.
hmm
You better get your shit together. And we're here to talk about this movie and our thoughts on it. A legacy sequel horror movie, Tanner. Like a fresh
Correct.
idea for the film industry.
Gosh, God, where do they come up with
What
these
are they
things?
think of next?
A legacy sequel, a legacy horror sequel with the same name as the original entry.
Whoa. Well, all right. We're getting a little crazy here, but before we do that, let's turn it back a little bit and talk about this film. Our thoughts on it. Tanner Dykstra,
Yeah,
go talk about your thoughts here about I Know What You Did last summer. Which, by the way, I just
Tucker.
gotta be honest, I think is one of the worst names for a movie. Like, I hate typing in that acronym. I hate saying the whole thing. Like,
Yeah, it's clumsy.
yeah,
It's certainly not. They probably didn't assume that this thing would have as long of a tail as it ends up having.
yeah.
Culturally, this thing
What
even
tail
has
it
a cultural
has? Yeah.
tail. Yeah, exactly. Tucker. Anyway, my thoughts on this new 2025 version of this film. That's what I
Whoa,
think right there.
that was a
Two
tongue
thumbs down.
fart. Oh my gosh, that's a
Yeah,
rarity.
two thumbs down and a tongue fart.
Whoa.
This thing is quite poor, I would say. I don't think that there are really any good major performances in this
Mm,
film. I think that it is so boringly obvious in terms of its mystery, its killer
mm.
reveal, which is always like the centerpiece of all of these movies, is who is the killer because it's obviously someone that they know.
Yeah. Not in that
Um,
first movie, though.
and that's a good point. That's a fair point. But this one, Tucker, obviously, that for everyone knows the original "I Know What You Did Last Summer" is a Scream
Yeah.
1996 clone. So this one has to be a Scream 2022 clone
Yeah,
by
kind of.
by
Yeah.
by extension.
Yeah.
Wherein that we have to modernize it. All of our characters are like now 20-something Gen Z folks, and with there's lots of dialogue, sort of like to that effect,
Yeah.
trying to put some like TikTok buzzwords, make those
Mm.
feel natural in the dialogue. I think that's sort of an issue. But I also think that the script on a whole is just poor outside of
Sure.
the new speak, the children's speak that they try to put
Gosh.
in this. What the kids are saying. Yeah. I didn't like this at all, and also like leans really heavily into the legacy sequel stuff, like at the
Yeah.
detriment of the story itself. I don't think there's really anything good about this movie. Not in my eyes, anyway.
I don't think there's anything great about it. I think it is a totally serviceable slasher movie. I thought it looked
Sure.
fine enough. I thought the kills were fine enough. I actually disagree, and where I want to dig into maybe where we differ a little bit. I thought a
hmm
number of the core performances of the like teen characters, quote unquote, were actually
hmm
like surprisingly good. I was like, okay, you know what? I actually really care about this character.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
there's that element. There's the horror movie element, and there's the legacy sequel element. Which I want to dig into each separately. But so I think it's fine. I think it's a fine movie. I
Okay.
didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I did like it more than the original movie, which I also watched
Wow.
yesterday.
hmm
And not by like a giant margin, but I think that other
Yeah.
one is just really boring. Uh, because I mean, honestly, I don't exactly know. I think for me, it comes down to that the dynamic between the core cast in that first movie. I just found like really, really, really uninteresting. I'm like, you guys don't feel like friends. You don't really feel like there's a ton of history between you. Like, I don't
hmm
really buy this. But I really do think it actually is that core cast in this that makes me a little bit more engaged. And some of the themes and concepts that they're playing with here, this movie I think has a good introduction. I really like the group that they set up. I like the setting and concept that they set up. I do think that it starts falling apart as the movie goes. Um,
hmm
but yeah, so it's really a mixed bag of tricks here for me. And I Know You Did last summer. I'm like, yeah, like, do I recommend it? You can see, you'll probably have a fine enough time. But like, there's nothing like super
uh-huh.
interesting about it.
It's gonna be some real solid what's new to Netflix fodder in a few
Mm,
months.
absolutely, Tanner.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Tucker, let's
Because in
talk
some
about
ways,
our.
actually, I will say I do think it
Okay. Yeah.
feels uh like a streaming service original film in some ways. It
Sure.
feels
Yeah.
very. I mean, I don't really watch these kind of
Uh-huh.
show. So I don't know exactly what like channel it would be on, or whatever. It feels
Mhm.
like a teen drama TV show in some ways.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Well, Tucker, we should probably start there. Without the first build actress in this movie, she's going
Mm.
to be second build. Madeline Cline is
Oh yeah,
probably the biggest young star in this film,
sure.
who is obviously, as you just noted there, with bringing up the teen drama streaming shows, most notable for her role in The Outer Banks,
Never heard
which
of
is a
it.
very popular Netflix series. She is the uh See, this is what I find difficult about the cast here is that I don't think any of them necessarily fill like the prototypical slasher movie
Okay.
roles in very interesting ways. I think this movie is trying to modernize itself a little bit, but
Yeah.
in doing so, flattens all the characters out to be quite similar in my mind. Like
Sure. Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
there's not a this type of character and a this type of character. They try to add dimensionality, but the film
Hmm.
just doesn't have the wavelength for that. Like Madeline Cline's character, she is the one that is getting married in the
Yeah.
film, or she is married.
She's the engaged one.
She's the engaged one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Where in 1997, she is the Sarah Michelle Gellar character.
Correct.
She is the blonde prom queen, that sort
Excuse
of
me, Croaker
archetype.
Queen. Come on.
Croaker queen. Thank you.
God,
Thank you.
jeez. Kids these
But
days,
here
put some respect in the Croaker Queen's name.
Yeah, but here she is, she is quite affluent, as are many of the
Yeah.
characters in
Hmm.
this film. She has, her like spiritual guru
Yeah.
speak that she brings up quite often. She is often talking about how she's reckoning with like self-diagnosed mental health issues, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. All this kind of Gen Z stuff that is easy to poke fun at from the writers' room, I guess. And I I don't see how she's that different than like the main character as portrayed by Chase Sui Wonders,
Hmm.
or any of the other. Like I guess the male characters have a different sort of tenor to them, but they all sort of blend together for me.
Well, I think you chose the wrong one to put that complaint on because
Okay.
Madeline Klein is, I think, by far the clearest and most distinct character in the film in terms of like the role that she fills in the jokes and the script. And she's kind of the dumb one. She's the one that has these obsessions. She definitely leans more into that new speak, young people
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with being online and figuring out what's wrong with yourself and that kind of thing. Like, I think she actually does have a very defined role because she's also the one that's kind of the glue. I think she's very, very likable. And you can kind of understand why someone would feel maybe protective of her, which is actually ends up being kind of the way that after the traumatic event that sets the film in motion, all the characters end up coming back together because they all have a bond with her. I think that the friend group dynamic is very interesting in that there's intertwining love romance kind of triangle whatever. But it all ties back to Madeline Cline's character Danica because I do think that
Oh,
each of the
yeah.
characters feel like they owe her in some way or feel like they have a connection to her some way and they want to make sure that she's okay. She's a very likable, defendable person that you like care about and you want to like it's like she's like the puppy that you want to like make sure is doing all right. Do you not pick that up? I think that's very clear in the script.
Um. I mean, I get like so Chase Sui Wonders is like friends with her.
Yeah, they've been
Well,
best friends for a long time. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't feel that they have a particularly strong bond in the film.
Oh,
Not that
really?
I was
Okay.
able. I mean, like, obviously they do the scenes where they're like, let's cuddle in bed and let's talk
Yeah.
about stuff and stuff like that. But like, those scenes didn't feel much more with a lot more chemistry or
Hmm.
writing attention than like any other given scene in the movie to me. They all
Yep.
felt of the same malaise to me. And then you look at the other characters, like, okay, so obviously like she is getting married to one of the characters. She
Teddy.
was
Yeah.
going to get married to one of the
Oh,
other
yeah, yeah.
characters
Sure.
here. And then there's Mr. Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid a couple years ago, Jonah Howard
Oh,
King.
that's crazy, Paul.
Um,
I didn't even recognize him to be honest.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Who I don't know his connection to Madeline Klein. If you remember one more than I do,
Well, and
he's
that's the
because
thing.
he's
That's why I feel like this friend group has a very interesting dynamic. Is again, I think it
mm,
all ties back to Danica because Milo. was dating Ava, who is Chase Wonder's character, and so that's
Yes.
their connection in. But I do think that watching Milo come back and then go to that party, being the only guy there, and then helping Danica across the course of the film, their dynamic, it feels like. Again, it's all kind of connected back to Danica, because they're the one that, like, they all kind of trust her. They all they all want to make sure that she's okay, especially
Yeah.
after everything went through. And I have to say, I really disagree about that scene where they're cuddling and talking. I thought that was one of the best
Oh,
scenes in the
sure.
movie. I really do think that
Okay.
frankly, the chemistry between Chase Wonders and Madelyn Cline, I thought worked really well. And for me, as someone who's seen a lot of horror movies, there are very rare instances of me feeling like, okay, I actually feel like these two people are best friends. But
Sure.
having these moments in the movie where their two personalities have diverged, but they're overcoming that after, a year apart and not really knowing if they can talk to one another. Having that moment where they're like, look, I'm sorry. Ava's particular is like, I'm sorry I left. Like, I'm glad that Stevie was there for you, but now we're coming back together. I felt really weird about this. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to talk to you. I don't really want to talk to anyone. I'm like, yeah, that's how a traumatic event would impact you.
Oh, yeah.
And then expressing that to your best friend and having this moment of reckoning, I think made their bond feel even stronger across the course of the film, to where when you get to the end of the film and they're together and they're talking, they're sharing some jokes and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I do actually buy this dynamic. And I think that's maybe why the movie worked for me, is because Madelyn Cline and Chase Wonders, I thought, were giving very, very good performances, and I believed their
Yeah.
friendship so much.
To me, them being the final two just speaks to, well, these are the two biggest stars that we have in the movie,
Yeah.
so obviously they're going to make it till the end. And even spoilers for I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025,
Yeah.
when we kill off Madelyn Cline's character, it's like, yeah, obviously she's not dead. She's the biggest name in this cast.
Mm-hmm.
Again, of the young people, because we'll get to the legacy characters in a moment.
Yeah.
But let's also talk about what's the killer's name, Tucker? The
Stevie.
girl, what's her name?
Yeah,
Stevie.
there's
Thank
Stevie
you.
and Teddy that we still have to talk about. We will lightly mention Milo, but that's all you need to talk about him. He's not very interesting.
I mean, that guy is
Yeah.
wet blanket central.
Yeah.
So yeah, Stevie is she is the killer in this film. She's the or at least one of them, because again, we're doing Scream 1996 again. Still 30 years later, we can't get over that hump. And so she. Tucker, can you humor me and just say that you also knew that she was the killer from basically the very beginning?
Not at all. Not even close.
Really?
The
Wow.
killer reveal to me is very poor, and part of the reason why I don't
Sure.
like this movie very much, because there's no evidence until the last act that this is happening, other than the absence of her being attacked. I think that's the
Yeah.
only thing you piece together over time. Like, oh yeah, I guess she wasn't attacked. She wasn't a part of these things. But
When the most glaringly obvious segment bit of that to me was when they all get together back at the house after Madelyn Cline and Teddy, that character who's going to be in Him in a couple of months.
Oh, really? Okay.
Tyreek Withers.
Yeah.
When they get attacked at like the graveyard or whatever, and they all reconverge at the house, and she's just like, "Hey guys, I gotta go.
I gotta work. Yeah. That's, you know what? Honestly, I didn't put that together. That is definitely true.
But even from the word go, when she is sort of like othered from the other characters at the very beginning of this movie, being like, oh, she's like the poor character. She's like the character who has been to rehab and doesn't have
Fair
any
enough.
family. I was like,
Yeah.
certainly this is some sort of fake out, right? Certainly I'm supposed to think that she's the killer from the beginning,
Well-
and then it's going to fake me out at some point. And I was, as the movie went on, I was like, oh no, we're just doing this? We're doing this now?
Here's the reason why I didn't put that together, is that every time the killer's on screen, and of course there's a reason for this and we'll get into it, very big, heavy footsteps,
Yes.
intimidating
Thump,
presence,
thump,
picking
thump.
people up and dragging them
Uh-huh.
around and stuff. And I, retrospectively, thinking through the kills and the chases in this movie, cannot think of a moment when it's even makes physical sense for Stevie to be the killer. And so I never thought, like, it's a smaller, pretty skinny, scrawny woman. Like that's no insult to her as a person.
I
but
saw
like,
her in that tank top. She's got some guns on her.
I know, but she's
got
not
some guns.
picking up and throwing people around like
No,
bulky,
she is
like
not.
heavy
She is not
shoes.
doing thump, thump, thump.
No,
Raising steel fishing
Exactly.
cages or
And so
whatever.
my internal consistency never applied that to her, because I was thinking, you got to be a big enough person to
Mm-hmm.
deal these attacks and deal the damage. And so and also I do think that yes, from a script writing level, I see what you're saying on like she's definitely other, she's definitely external to the group in some way. I honestly just thought that was bad writing. Like you just put in another
There's
body,
plenty of that to go around, you
you
know.
just put in another body to end up being killed. Like
Uh-huh.
that's honestly what I assumed. Is like she's not getting a ton of characterization, she's not getting a ton of interaction with the other characters. That's mostly just because she's there for to add to the body count by the end of the
Yeah, yeah,
film.
yeah.
And so when they do the reveal that she's the killer, and they, in terms of motivation, only establish that 30 seconds before the reveal that she's the killer
Yeah.
by proving that she had this tie to the church, that the guy that died in the car was there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not
Church
it. Like
stuff.
to me, and the reason why I'm surprised that you picked up on so much, and again, was trying to create some sort of internal consistency in my head up to that
Sure,
point.
sure, sure.
I was like, well, we didn't know any of this. There was no hints that she had ties to the church. There was no hints that she knew this person, and also, and to the bad writing point, and I think also,
Uh-huh.
frankly, to the bad performance
Uh-huh.
point of this film, the twist that when she like goes crazy, I'm like, I just threw my hands up in the air. I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it's like a
No.
totally different personality. It's like a split personality. I'm like, there's no hints about any of this. And that's why I thought that was a bad reveal. And why I was like surprised in retrospect, like, oh, it's her?
Mhm.
I'm like, the movie didn't set up this in any way.
It's this movie trying to have its Scream 2022 moment with
Definitely.
Mikey Madison
Definitely.
when she like is like, I'm the killer, surprise bitch, that kind of stuff. What that has kind of gone somewhat viral and is used as like reaction gifs and reaction videos and things like that on Twitter and on TikTok and things of
Oh,
that nature.
I see. They're
It's
trying to
this
get Stevie being like, I'm crazy and I'm
Yes.
mad. I'm gonna kill you. And they're like,
It
oh,
is so
clip it, please.
blatantly, please let us go viral on Twitter, please. It's so clearly that
Yeah,
to
fair enough.
me, which is also kind of what this director, hang on, I'll get the name here, Jennifer Caton Robinson, who
Yeah.
did Do Revenge a couple years ago for Netflix. That movie is basically all that, basically like, please clip this and use it as a reaction gif, please. It's and so when she's doing like, you shouldn't call women crazy. What's Chase Louis Wonder's name?
Ava.
Ava.
Yeah.
You shouldn't call women crazy, Ava. That's reductive or whatever. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, gag
Yeah,
me
no,
with a
yeah.
goddamn spoon.
I thought that was bad. I thought that was
Mhm.
I thought that really, again, killed any investment that I had in like the setup of the killer, because I honestly feel like the script did a really poor job at leading me along to come to that conclusion. I think part of
Yeah.
what is fun about the better Scream movies and better slasher kind of whodunit movies
Mhm.
is that you can follow these tracks of logic to get you to the point where you feel like you're clever, that you figured it out. And it's interesting that you had put it together kind of by absence of writing,
Yeah.
and I didn't put it together because of absence of writing, and neither of those, I think, lead to that being a satisfying moment. Neither of us were satisfied with that being the killer, because I mean,
Mhm.
it could, if it had been set up a little bit clearer, and her motivation and the personality translation or transition to when she was crazy or whatever, if that made
Mhm.
a little bit more sense, I think I would have bought into it a little bit more. But it ended up working for neither of us. I do want to quickly mention, because just the last one we didn't mention the
Yeah,
cast. Tyreek Withers as Teddy, I thought was actually really funny. I loved him in this movie. I thought his
Sure.
jokes were good. I thought he had like he's just this like big, boisterous, lovable personality, and that's
Mhm.
actually ultimately why I think I bought into this cast, is particularly with Teddy, Ava, and Danica, is I'm like,
Mhm.
these are just likable people. Like, I would want to be friends with these people. They have like their dramatic moments, but they do really care for one another. It felt like a real friend group to me, and like believable people that would know each other, as opposed to that original movie where I really bought none of their dynamics. And maybe that was like just setting the bar kind of low for me, and like being able to have that surpass where I'm like, I buy these dynamics.
Yeah. I didn't find any of them particularly likable. I mean, they all read a little bit to me, as is like the aesthetic of this movie, which is like southern, wealthy, like Republican light, boat shoe, vineyard vines.
Yeah. Oh,
We
totally.
every family has a
Yeah.
yacht sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like these fucking guys. They all seem pretty annoying to me. Even Ava, who is like bi in this movie, and it lightly touches on that. But even then, I'll go like, she doesn't seem to give a shit that like that one girl died at the beginning of the movie. She does not give a fuck that she died, really.
Tyler,
Uh, yeah,
the
Tyler.
the podcasting girl.
Yes, the true crime
Yeah.
podcast girl. Again, another one of the moments of the movie being like, "Hey kids, we're with it. Check
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
huh?"
Um.
Um,
Yeah. That. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, to that point, they didn't really know each other. I didn't really expect her to be like super heartbroken over it, but
Yeah, okay, I get that, but still, but my point still stands. I think this points to the body count stuff, and we can talk
yeah,
about the kills here a moment too. I mean, the first two kills at the beginning of the movie are non-characters who are introduced
correct.
approximately
Yeah,
5 minutes before they are killed.
yeah.
5 to 10 minutes. I'll be generous.
Mm.
And then it takes
Well, no,
until
Tyler's
I was trying.
introduced about 20 minutes earlier, and then
Yeah, true.
reintroduced 5 minutes
Yeah, that's
earlier
right.
in the scene where she
That's
died.
good. Correct. Uh, it takes until like the hour and 15-minute mark of this
Mm.
hour and 50-minute movie for one of the main cast to die.
Yeah,
And it's Mr. Wet Blanket himself. Also,
violent. Yeah.
I knew that guy wasn't gonna have an emotion or sauce when Tyler and Ava were in the car, and Tyler was like, "Hey, we should have a threesome." He's like,
Oh,
oh
jeez. Yeah,
no,
yeah, that was
oh
really dumb.
gee. I'm like,
Yeah.
this fucking guy, what a loser. Anyway, Tucker, what do you?
You're like, what a loser. He should be just like hitting on the brakes and starting to make out with both of them. What the fuck's wrong with this?
Yeah. Tucker, what are your thoughts on the kills in this movie, these slashes in this slasher?
I think they're fine enough. I think they're solid. I think there's some good moments of gore, some good moments of the killer like presenting the body afterward in like these like dramatic fashions.
Sure.
Just very decent, very serviceable. I think part of the reason I don't find this franchise particularly compelling is that
Uh-huh.
while a fishing hook looks good on a poster, I don't think it's a very interesting weapon to use in a
I would
slasher movie because
tend to agree.
what I end up feeling is that you've got really one move you can do with it
It's the
that
slash.
makes sense. It's a,
Yeah.
well, kind of, but the move that I think makes most sense is like taking it like jamming the hook like
Oh
through
yeah.
them.
You want to go up with it.
Yeah,
I see
exactly.
what you're
Because
saying,
like
yeah.
think about the shape of a fishing hook. If you
It's like
slash with
this.
it, actually the part that is out as you're slashing is the round part, and so then
Yeah, it's a good
you
point.
have to like. You have to like twist your wrist to like slash it and like get it on like an angle. You gotta do like this or something. I'm like, that's not very interesting. That's not very cool. It doesn't have motion. It doesn't have force behind it. I think it's just a really weak weapon for a kid.
Yeah, because the knife is like all blade. I don't know if any of us has made this observation before, Tucker.
Wrong. Part handle too.
Oh, part handle. Fuck. God, I'm such an idiot.
No, but I to this movie's credit, I think adding the sort of harpoon gun to the arsenal is actually a
That's
bonus.
a good choice.
I think that's one of the best kills in the movie. One of the best scenes in the movie,
probably.
like watching him get dragged away by this thing, and then having them come back at the end. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. That I was like, oh, that is so much more interesting of a weapon for a fishing based character to have than a fishing hook, which ultimately is just a worse and more clumsy knife.
That's a good point.
Like it's not even like a pirate hook, which is like a
No.
C, which I'm like, okay, you can do a little motion. That's like this is like
It's like a full U.
Yeah, I'm like you can't do anything with that.
That's a fair point. I found them all to be pretty milk toast. Like the most gruesome one is probably when we kill Teddy and his father. Which again, all of the like subplots in this are very underserved. I
The
think.
Teddy thing, I'm like, I wish there was more going on there.
Yeah, like with the thing with his dad and like trying to revitalize the image of the town from the 1997, and boy, they do love saying the year
Oh, fuck,
1997
they
in this movie.
Yeah, they do.
And we should probably get there next. But yeah, I don't have any particular faves. You're right, probably the harpoon gun is the best sequence in the film. Again, that was one that was like in like the main trailer for
Of
this, so I
course, yeah.
saw that sequence probably 6-7 times over the past few weeks. Anyway, let's talk legacy.
Well,
Let's talk
there's
legacy
one
here.
moment of transition
Sure.
between these
Sure.
two, and I think this is a
Okay.
good point to transition from the main cast of the legacy cast is one element I think actually is again very strong as a setup for this film. Is
Mm.
I like the Southport has been gentrified angle that
Sure.
this movie takes. Because what made the original movie interesting is that it took place in this sort of seaside, kind of somewhat dilapidated town. There are some rich families that
Yeah.
got rich off of, I
Hmm.
don't know, oil or a fishing fucking empire or whatever. But it
Yeah.
never felt like it was a particularly affluent place.
Right.
Because a lot of it was kind
It
of
was
like
kind of a
seaside docks and
dingy
things.
southern
Yeah.
town. Yeah.
And well, I don't know. I thought it was more of like an East Coast kind of thing, like a
Well, because
Maryland
it's North
or
Carolina.
oh well, that's kind of in between the two of us.
It kind of is,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, no, hey, listen, I don't have any skin in the game saying what's
yeah.
in the South and what isn't,
You
but North
thought
Carolina
Texas was the
always,
Midwest, so
yeah, exactly. I've always kind of felt that North Carolina as a southern state was kind of a sneak, but I'm sure
yeah.
there's North Carolinians who are gonna come for me for saying
Yeah.
that.
But I do think that the idea that this town, this somewhat dilapidated seaside town in the '90s, had this terrible thing happen to them, and then the government, internal government, the mayor, whatever, had a goal to rehabilitate the image of the town and make people forget
Hmm.
what happened there. I think that's actually a really good angle for a legacy sequel to have. It's like covering up what happened in the past, and then
Sure.
also
Yeah.
it gives this movie tonally and aesthetically a very different tone from that original movie, where again the characters for the most part were wealthy in that first movie. I didn't really feel it too much other than like the jock character.
Hmm.
But this movie, having it be like as you were mentioning, vineyard vines, very affluent culture,
Hmm.
and like big white houses, and everything's very clean and stuff, and
Yep.
lots of visitors coming in to like
Tourists, yeah, there's
touristic
tourism.
experience
But
in town.
it's set on the 4th of July
Yeah.
weekend, and that's always we're doing like a Jaws thing. It's like we can't scare the tourists
Yeah,
away.
exactly, and so tonally and aesthetically, I think these things all tie together to set it apart from the original. Again, the idea of using a legacy sequel to cover up that past and then completely 180 invert what the aesthetic and vibe of the town is. I'm like, that's like that is above and beyond legacy sequel effort to think about how the town would have progressed in between those. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, I actually really like this as a concept. I by the end of the movie, they don't really do much with it. Because Tanner, and let's get into the legacy sequel aspect.
Here we go.
This movie has the Karate Kid Legends problem, where
Oh,
I'm
sure.
like, I like this group of kids that has been set up. I like the idea of a Southport being gentrified and all of this. You've got all this stuff set up, and they're dealing with this. And then because it's a legacy sequel, we have to half inject legacy sequel
Yeah.
characters and their continuation of their plot lines half-heartedly into this movie, and just
Yes.
it like just slams the brakes on any progression or tone the movie has.
Yeah,
Because both Freddie Prinze Jr. and
Mhm.
not Sarah
Jennifer Love
Michelle Gellar,
Hewitt.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, yeah, JLH as they call her in the
Uh-huh.
streets,
Yes.
are just like they just like show up in this movie, and they're not particularly
Yeah.
well integrated. They frankly, I don't think their performances are very good, and then they
I think
just
one of them really stinks.
Tanner?
And I'll let you
Tanner?
guess who.
is it Freddie Prinze Jr.?
It's Freddie Prinze.
He's really bad. Why are both the
quite
killers
poor.
in this movie the worst performances in the film?
Who's to say?
Why is he
But,
so bad?
I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I Karate Kid Legends is a good pull, good recent pull for this because yeah, for as much as I clearly didn't care for like the young cast of this, like I did feel the shift happening. I was like, I mean, I'd rather just go back to them because at least I know that they are in danger of
Yeah,
some
yeah.
sort. We're not gonna kill Jennifer Love Hewitt or Freddie Prinze Jr. in this, especially as it becomes clear that like the young killer who he works for Freddie Prinze Jr. at like his bar or whatever. But yeah, from the moment that he walks into that town hall and he's like, "Hey, this has happened before." And then the mayor goes, "I presume you're talking about what happened in 1977 or 1997."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yes, I am talking about that. A killer in a fisherman's slicker is slaughtering people again."
Yeah,
I'm like,
this
"Jesus
can't be a
Christ,
coincidence.
Yeah,
why are
Jesus
you giving
fuck,
him like
Freddie.
a Cary Grant kind of thing?
I don't know.
No.
But and then Jennifer Love Hewitt is there, and she's like a mentor for Ava, but she's basically just like, "Hey, you should like figure out who's doing this." And Ava's like, holy shit, you're right. I should figure out
Well,
who's doing this.
it's that, and it's also like defend yourself. Like they're not gonna stop. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
this doesn't do anything.
And hey,
She's so useless in this movie.
But you know what I will say, one of the unique turns that this film does take, in terms of horror movie plotting, is bringing up these notes, these ideas of trauma is really interesting
Oh
for a
yeah,
recent horror
yeah.
film. And sort of, I mean, fucking, what I mean, when we introduce Sarah, when we introduce Jennifer Love Hewitt, and she's like, "Hey, college classroom, let me tell you about how like." Trauma
Yeah.
rewires the brain. I was like, first of all, this is a really shitty college lecture. I would be like, what the fuck is this if I was paying for this?
Yeah.
And then yeah. And then she has to. They save the day at the end because Freddie Prinze Jr. was driven crazy because it happened to him too. Because trauma rewires the brain. Bing bang boom. There you're done.
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze dies. The young killer is still alive and
Yeah,
on the
really.
loose. We're
Yeah.
setting up a sequel for this apparently.
I don't want another movie with Stevie as the killer. Fuck off.
Yeah. Well, did you stay for the mid credit scene, Tucker?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I don't care.
Well, Tucker, you obviously you didn't watch. I still know what you did
No.
last summer,
So
correct?
so
Okay.
did you watch all of them? Did you watch the fucking third one
Yeah,
as well?
I mean years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Tucker, I have seen. I'll always know what you did last summer. That thing is barely a movie.
Oh,
Let me tell
exciting.
you,
I'll
that
get
thing.
there one day.
Yeah.
Are those other two movies referenced in this at all? Because
Yes.
I really feel like they don't seem to. I mean, I don't know what happens to them, but this seems to
Yeah.
be very
Yeah.
much like we're following
It's
up the first movie. We're going to all the fucking
uh-huh.
locations. We're gonna go to the Croaker Queen float. We're gonna go to the place
Mm-hmm.
where the bridal shop
Mm-hmm.
once was. And don't you remember? This is
Yes.
where that did happen before.
Where
But
did that happen?
it's gonna be a less interesting location now.
That's right.
Fucking so annoying.
The
It's gonna
first
be a
I
fight by the graves of the other characters in the first movie.
So there are two that I caught references to this to the second film, the
Okay.
sequel. I still know what you did last summer. One of them is obviously the mid-credit scene in which Brandy Nor not Brandy Nor who am I thinking? Norwood.
Yeah.
Brandy Norwood shows up, and she's like, "Hey, I need." Jennifer Love Hewitt was like, "I need your help because a sequel is happening."
We're about to get sequeled.
We're about to get sequelized. But the first one was actually, I thought, a fair, a pretty cheeky joke when they're talking to Freddie Prinze. It's when Teddy's like, "Why don't we just take my parents' boat and like go to the Bahamas for a few days?" And Freddie Prinze is like, "For reasons I'm not going to get into, you don't want to do
I
that."
see. I see.
Because the second film is set in the Bahamas.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But also, let's be real. Even
Mhm.
though I hadn't seen that movie and I didn't understand that there was a reference to particularly the plot of that film, it felt like a legacy sequel joke. The amount of effort that
Yeah.
he put into the line, I was like,
Mhm.
you're referencing something here. I don't know what it is, but you're referencing something here, and that is how I feel with the entire legacy sequel aspect of this. Is
Mhm.
the movie is surprisingly largely unconcerned with it. I would say the majority of the runtime is just these kids running from the killer, and then there are moments when it remembers that we have to use Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt, and they just show up. Their characterization and involvement in the film is very minimal. It has this like veneer of like, this is really a legacy sequel, bringing back the original characters and all this, but then again, for the majority of the runtime, I feel like it's not particularly concerned with it. And then it like shifts into, oh yeah, this is a legacy sequel mode, and it's like, oh man, back in the day, back in 1997, this happened already. And I'm like, I just don't think that the legacy sequel aspect adds too much to this movie, other than, as I mentioned, I like the justification angle, which you can't really do unless this is a legacy sequel and you understand why it's interesting to have it be inverted like that. But yeah, the legacy characters, I think, are the worst aspect of this movie for my taste.
Yeah.
Just because it feels so forced and uninteresting, because the only thing that's interesting about those two characters is that they survived a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Which is, well, that's how legacy sequel slashers go anyway. But, like, because they introduced this element of that they were married and that something happened to drive them apart. They don't really explore that.
No.
And I'm like, it was like an interesting moment that happened there. Like, it felt like it was like leading to like a reveal or conversation moment of some kind, and they just don't really bother with it.
Yeah. There's one last sequence that we should talk about if we're in this zone, and it is the Sarah Michelle
Ooh,
Gellar
sequence, yeah.
cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Well, Che, you know what? Sarah Michelle Gellar probably comes out the best of the
Oh,
trio
easily.
in this movie, I would
Easily.
say. She gets her one scene where she gets to look great, be sort of menacing and scary, and then turn into a zombie lady. And it's approximately a 90 seconds of screen time, and she's in and out, and she doesn't have to deal with any of the other writing,
Yeah,
terrible
yeah.
writing shit that's going on in this movie. Pretty solid sequence,
Yeah,
I
it's fine.
thought. I mean, as long as we're doing like legacy sequel stuff, like I suppose it's something there, and I guess it also just carries some water in my mind. It was like Sarah Michelle Gellar, she's got the juice still. I mean, she is better in this movie
Yeah.
than JLH or FPJ
FPJ, yeah.
for that matter.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I mean, she's a little bit better. The scene is fine. It doesn't really add too much to the
It's
movie.
fine.
But
Mm-hmm.
you do what you gotta do, I guess.
Uh-huh. And we
Yeah,
had to do it.
I guess we did.
We
Yeah.
simply just had to do it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, again, this movie is very mixed for me. I actually felt pretty good about it in that first act before we've introduced
Mm-hmm.
any of the legacy sequel stuff. I'm like, I like this setup. I actually, again, do surprisingly buy into this friend group, the dynamics, a number of the core performances, particularly Tyreek Withers, Chase Suey Wonders, and Madelyn Cline. I actually thought were really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just have to do a legacy sequel thing, and I'm like, you just kind of kneecapped all the things you set up, and then it's a downward slope. I
Yeah.
like the first act, second act, including introducing FPJ and SMG. No, SMG
Uh-huh.
is the dream one. Whatever, you
Yeah.
fucking get it.
Yeah, I got it.
Then I'm like, this is like kneecapping it a little bit, and then the reveals at the end I thought were pretty weak, and the
Yep.
performances I thought, particularly those last killer performances, were the worst two
Mhm.
performances of the movie. So I'm like, it's a downward slope for me in this movie.
Yeah, the ending is also pretty weird. I mean, the ending is they're just like rapid firing like buzzwords at you. And I'll say it too. I think that like the I can kind of feel the actors feeling a little bit clumsy having to actually say these things because these are words that play better on a TikTok screen than they do coming out of
Mm.
somebody's mouth. Like when Chase Uwe Wonder says like the divas are up, I was like,
Oh yeah, that
Jesus
was
Christ.
bad. I was like,
Yeah.
are you trying to? What are you trying to do here? I mean, obviously, I'm not in the target audience for, I guess, that reference or that
Hmm.
you know phraseology. But I was like,
Right. What?
What's going on? Why did you say like it was like a
Yeah.
big like a big like they zoomed in on. I'm like, huh? What does that even really mean?
I also have to shout out one of the funniest line readings. Just one of the many like what lines in this movie for me is when Mr. Wet Blanket, what's his name?
Milo.
Milo, at the beginning of the movie when they're about to go out on the drive is like, why not a trip down memory lane? It's the 4th of July after all. What? What are you talking about?
Is the implication that because it's a national holiday about the founding of America, that you're also supposed to kind of reflect on the history of America, but nobody does that on the
Tucker,
4th of July?
Tucker, I don't think that there's any implication to that line. I think it's just a line that they wrote.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. Tanner, what is your score for I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Like a 3 out of 10, and
3
that's
out
being
of
like
10.
pretty kind to it, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll be, Tanner, good cop, bad cop
Yeah.
kind of situation.
Uh-huh.
I'll go 5.6 out of 10. I do think that
Okay.
there are some elements of this that I thought were surprisingly good. And as I mentioned, again, pretty low bar. I liked it actually quite a bit more than the original film, which I don't, that's probably going to be a hot take. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm no great defender of the original. I think it's much like you, I think it's a fine movie.
Yeah.
Much like you with this
Yes,
one,
of
I
course,
should
of course.
say.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching our review of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Let us know your thoughts on this. If you think that I'm an annoying Zoomer who just doesn't get it for not liking that first movie very much, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But we will see you guys next time for more movie reviews. Cheers.